Hi, I'm back. I'm ready to talk to you about the piecing for November's Saturday sampler for the Chevron Borders. So on page 14, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be making flying geese. Now this is a little bit different piecing than what we were used to because they're a two-color background flying geese. So we aren't piecing them in the same way that you're familiar with that we've done in previous blocks. These are pieced with triangles on each side, but we'll be cutting them down the same. So you will be marking them A, B, C, and D. I've made the flying geese already, but I'll show you on one of them how they're pieced. It's very easy, but you do have to pay attention to the colors. So you'll see that on here, fabric 4, you always have a different color base, but fabric 4 is always on the right side of the geese, and fabric 3 is always on the left side. And you are always pressing to the triangle on all of these. So you can see here on my samples that all of these, this is fabric 4 on the right side and fabric 3 on the left side. And it's the same throughout. That's why you cut so many of fabric 3 and 4. Okay, so how do you go about piecing those? So here's a fabric A base, which is fabric 10. Okay, so here's my 10. So here's my fabric A, and this triangle, so you first kind of lay them out to see what it's supposed to look like. I always look at that to see logically what is this supposed to look like. So let's take this away, and the nice thing about batiks is there's no wrong side. I'm going to lay this down, and this angle will match with this angle all the way around. So I'm taking this to my machine, and I'm just sewing this straight down because this whole angle matches with that. So if you can see, and you'll have that little point sticking off the top. And it's going to be bigger, it's going to be bigger than 1/4 inch because these are oversized. We're cutting it down later. So if they were the correct size, you would only have 1/4 inch hanging off. But since it's oversized, you have a bigger than 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to be pressing this open. I'm just going to finger press it for this sample. So now you have to sew this one on. And in order to do that, you just flip this over. This is going to match up right here, this point and this whole angle here. I would take this to my machine and just sew all the way down here. And I just don't do one, I'll sew all of them. So for this one, I need to make 8 of them. So I would just chain stitch all 8 through my machine once I get these lined up, because then I know that, you know, I'm doing it in the correct order. So then when I'm done with that, I'm going to press that open. So if you can see the back of here, I've pressed all of these open towards the triangle. Now, when I get done, this is going to be too large. It's going to be oversized here. I have cut these down to size, so then I take my wing clipper, and you're going to be cutting it down to 6.5 by 3.5. So here I've already cut that down, but my first cut would be like this, and I find my 3.5 with my angle here, and I would cut it down here, and then I would turn it this way, and then find my 6.5 here, and 3.5, and this angle should be matched there, and cut that down like that. So I've cut them all down, these that I have made, to 6.5 by 3.5. And this is just my sample of how that would piece. So you're going to go ahead and follow the guide here to make A, B, C, and D. I haven't made all of them, but just enough for the example. But on number A, with fabric 10 as the base, you need to make 8 of them. It's going to use up all your bases. On fabric B, with the 12 as the base, you need to make 20. Woo! A lot. Okay? Always pressing towards the triangle. Number C, again, you need to make 8. And then number D, with fabric 9 as the base, you need to make 8 also. So there's all of them that you need to make, and it shows them across here. Okay, so that's what you need to make for your flying geese. So I'll kind of set those aside for a second. Next, you need to make some flip and sew units. It's a little bit hard to see here which color. You're going to make 2 mirror image units, 1 and 2. And on number 1, so you're going to be using fabrics 4 and 3 on these, and you're going to be grabbing your 3.5 by 6.5 inch units and your 3.5 inch squares of 4 and 3. So the thing that you can't tell, or it's a little difficult to tell, is number 1, which one is number 1 fabric and which one is number 2. So number 1, you're going to be using fabric 4, and unit number 2, you're going to be using fabric 3. And you'll notice that unit number 1 is going to be going this way towards the inside, and fabric 2 is going to be going the other way. And this is critical that you get the colors correct, because if you look at your piece right here, this is what this unit looks like. And there's your, you can't see the sewing line, but this is this piece here going in right here. So this is this piece here, and it matches with this unit here. So the colors have to match. And this is this piece right down here. So there's your connector corner, and it matches with this unit here. So if the fabrics are incorrect, it's not going to match with the fabric alignment. So hopefully you'll see that. You'll see it once you piece it. So just kind of look at this video. So now you have to make that flip and sew. And of course I use my corner clipper. So this one here, when you're putting this on, it needs to flip this way. So how do I know which way I put my folded corner clipper? Well, I can either draw a line for my first one as my cheater. Okay, so that's the crease there. So I know that that's where the line goes. And on my folded corner clipper then, this is a 3.5 inch square. I don't know that I can do it upside down, but I have to follow that line. So I set my 3.5 inch square, and I know that the angle on my cut has to be the angle that I just folded, or you could put a line, but there's my 3.5 inches. So it lines all the way up. There was kind of the little fold of my fabric, so I know that that's where my cut goes. Okay, and that's where my sewing line will be, and then it will fold up there when I'm done. Okay, and you will press towards the triangle. So here on this one, it's going to go the opposite way. So I put this here as my sample to make sure I'm following the picture. And you can press or fold or draw a line as your first cheater one, just so you make sure you're doing it correctly. Okay, make sure it looks like the picture. So where do I put my folded corner clipper to cut on this one? Well, I'm going to lay it down. There's my line right there. Would I put it there? Nope. Would I put it here? Yes, because it's following the line. So there's my line right there, my fold. So do I cut it there? Nope, that's not right. Okay. Oh, is my line here? Yes. Okay. So I have to cut it that way. If I cut it the other way, I'd cut off the whole block. So there's going to be my cut right there. So I take, how many do you make of each of these? Let's look and see. So of each one, I'm going to make 4 each. So I take all 4 out of this angle, and I lay them down, and I cut all 4 exactly the same. And then I run all 4 through my machine and chain stitch it. And I'll do exactly the same of that, so I have all 4 done. Okay, so that's how you do those folded corners, and you have those done. And then the very last thing that we do is we make half square triangles, and you're going to make unit 1 and 2. And so they all involve fabrics 13 and 4 for half square triangle 1, and unit 13 and 3 for half square triangles 2. And after you make those, you have to cut them down to 3.5 inches. And I use my block lock to get those down to the right size. So now we have all of our units made, our flying geese, our folded corners on our rectangle, and our half square triangles. We have those laid out. I would highly recommend marking them like they indicate so that you know where they go. And then you're ready to lay your blocks out. So they have 2 units, and you can see there's kind of a top line and a bottom line, and you need to make them as they indicate by following these letters. So I'm just going to kind of move these off and lay them out as they've indicated. And so we have like an A, so I'll just lay it out here. So we have an A and a B. Hopefully I have enough room here. A and a B and a D. Is that correct? No, can't read upside down. A and a B and a C. And another A, and I won't have enough room. And another B, and then a C. And that's your first line. I guess I'll have to overlap it. And then you're going to sew all of those together, okay? And then you're going to do the bottom line the same with a row of B, D, B, D, and B. And on the bottom of those, so like when you have your B out, which is, oh gosh, now I've lost which one is my B. My B is right here. When you have your B out, I'll just kind of put this up. On the bottom of that is going to be rectangle 1. So your rectangle 1 will go, I believe, out like this. So you'll add your rectangle on, 1 on each side, and then you'll hook those together. So you'll have this one going with your geese flying down, and this one with your goose flying up with a half square triangle on it. So you'll do, you're going to make 4 rows of this one and 4 rows of the other one, but 1 each with your points facing each other. So when I sewed these together, first you're going to sew these in a long row, but when I sewed these together, I did watch my points so that I didn't cut my points off. Okay, so you're going to have your half square triangles on the bottom. Okay, and then when you sew these together, after you have them sewn together, let's just say that I had my half square triangle here and I had them sewn together, then at the very end, and of course I don't have this laid out properly, but at the very end you would have, well actually that's kind of how that would go. You have your folded corner with your color here and your point. So you can kind of see at the very end, and then I always look to see that this is the right colorway. It doesn't look like this is right here, but you can kind of see what happens in the lineup here when you get these all lined up properly. You get the idea, okay, without me laying it completely out. So anyways, you line these up, so on. So once you have it made, it goes together pretty quickly and it's very easy. And then I just pressed to one side. After I had these, I pressed to one side and then added these on. I pressed to one side or the other. I think I pressed out so that I didn't have so much bulk at the corner. So that's it. Then once you have that, you'll be able to add the final borders on, which we'll be talking about in December. All right, thank you very much, and we'll see you next month.